Hi there, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Claire Jefford. It's great to have you here again. Thank you so much for joining me on TNT, The Naked Truth. And this episode is a top 5 episode. So I'm looking at top 5 of the trends and the highest engaged posts in my private Facebook group, Interior Design Business Strategies. If you're not already there, make sure you join. We'd love to have you there, my amazing tribe. And I like to go through these because if this is something that is really important to designers and this is something that's getting them chatting, well, you're a designer, you're in the industry, so this is probably going to be interesting for you as well. So I'm giving my view on some of these top 5. So stay with us here and let's do this. All right, so number 1, we have a designer here talking about a client who was trying to tell the designer what to do, like what her terms were going to be, and this is how he's going to work with her. And she was like, I'm not really sure how to handle it. And so there's one reason really why that happens, I will explain, is basically because you haven't got your processes down tight enough that people would even think about doing this. Because when you have your processes that tightly down, when you have your website in a way that you're attracting your ideal clients. I know we hear that term a lot, but I'm saying it because I know you're going to understand it when I do refer to it that way. And, it's pretty much because you're probably new and the client kind of feels like, hey, I'm going to see if I can get away with, saying how I would like to see this fold out. When really that's not what happens. You don't go to the store and you don't say to them, well, you know what, I'm going to just pay 50% of this now and I'll come back and I'll pay another 50% when I'm done trying it in like a month after I buy these pair of shoes or whatever, right? It just doesn't happen. I mean, stores, services, businesses, you have processes. You need to have those processes. You need to have yourself organized. You need to be confident, which yes, does come with time, but once you've got everything in place, then people are much less likely to ever question you because you are that organized. You are that on top of everything. You have a structure and they see that you have a structure and they're like, oh, okay. And again, good clients will appreciate this and they'll like this. The clients who are like, can we try doing this? And what if you just waive that fee? And what if we just do 10 hours instead of 20 on your designer on call? And you start kind of wavering. That's when the problem starts, because that is then when the client is now taking control and the client is telling you what the terms are, when that's not how you run a business. There may be times when you can be a little more flexible. I won't say that I haven't done that before, where I used to, kind of think like, oh, I wanted to only take on a room if the minimum was $20,000 for a decorating project. Excuse me. And a few years back, I had a lady in a very desirable area in Burlington where I live. She was looking for decorating of this quite a small sunroom, and she already had some built-ins in there, so she really just needed a few pieces of furniture, a window treatment. We did a carpeting and a mirror and a lamp. So I was like, well, I could either be like, oh, I need 20,000, or I could be like, well, this is around a $10,000 project, and I get my foot in the door, right? So that's what I did, and it was a great project. And then she hired us on about 18 months, 2 years later, and we did her dining room, right? So again, I'm not saying don't bend, but when someone's telling you your terms, and I'll tell you this story really quickly because this is exactly, I was fairly new. I was working with a builder. If any of you are familiar with Brian Baumler from HGTV, I was working with his company, okay? His construction company, not him, not side by side with Brian. And I had been really hired on to do or contracted out to do 3D plans for their clients, so before they would even bid on a job and give you a proposal, they wanted to make sure that you were invested, so you weren't just hiring them so you could get through to the HGTV company sort of thing. And so what happened was it wasn't the first one, it was the second client who ever hired me. It was a basement redesign. And they knew that they had to go through me in order to get the quote through the Baumler company. And I still remember the gentleman having me on the phone. He was driving and he had me on speaker. I don't know why, this kind of stuff I just remember. And he had said, I sent him all my pricing and everything. So he called me up and said, I got all your pricing. I looked at this. He goes, I tell you what I'm going to do. And he proceeded to drop $400 off of my price and said, I'm going to pay you this for the design. And the timeline's going to be, and then he said, like, we can't wait 4 weeks. It's going to be done in 3. And I said, that's not the way that I work. And I've explained to you, the process, the value that you're going to get out of these 3D designs is going to be amazing. I mean, everyone raves about them. And this is my process. There's no negotiating my fee. And the timeline is a timeline because I want to make sure that I don't rush your job and that I get things done properly and that I'm ready to present to you as I would, normally, because this is, not something that you want to rush. And then I was just very quiet, right? I didn't say anything. And it was probably like a good 12 to 15 seconds of that awkward silence, right? And then finally he's like, okay, and he's like, okay, well, just invoice me and we'll get the process going. So I had to stick to my guns because if I'd let him right then and there tell me what he's going to pay me and start knocking my price down, it's just setting you up for disaster. It's just going to be a downhill from there, and not in a good way. So just be sure that you're sticking to your guns, but make sure that your processes are reasonable, right? Make sure that you have those processes in place. I can help you with that. Check out my website, CLAIRE-ity.com, and the shop page definitely can help you with getting your processes organized for that, because this is the only time that this kind of stuff typically happens, is when you're really not organized. They start telling you what the terms are going to be. You really want the job. You're nervous and you're just going to cave. And it just leads, it's a recipe for disaster. So no. Do not have clients telling you how you're going to work. Don't be afraid to bend certain times like I did with that woman, okay, with that client. That was a lovely client. But once you really start, okay, I won't take that 100% deposit up front for the furniture. I'll only take 50%. No, now you're getting yourself into trouble. You're changing your processes. You're changing your terms. That's not good. All right. So number 2, clients who change their minds. Yeah, so this can be tricky. This is, again, going right again. I know, guys, so much of it really does come back to having those first initial conversations in the initial consultation on how you work, answering some frequently asked questions, having your website set up so it addresses a lot of these, but when you have clients who change their mind over and over again, it's frustrating. You feel like they don't trust you. You feel like the project is being held up and, what's wrong with me? Why aren't they trusting me? Don't they like what I'm choosing for them? And a lot of times it's really just them just being overwhelmed, as we know, by everything that's out there, and then seeing different things and then not necessarily having that trust in you. And that's, again, where you pull it right back right from the beginning. And that once clients are paying you a decent amount for your services, because when I'm paying for something, I'm going to listen, right? When I'm paying a fitness instructor, I'm going to listen to what they're saying. If I'm just doing videos on YouTube and winging it on my own, I may not be as into it, right? So it's the exact same thing. And I did have a client one time who was just going back and forth on lighting. And, I had to finally say to her, I thought we had landed on this, we had 3 good options. I told you I loved all 3. I told you which one I thought was the best, but if you're really going to go back and forth on this, then let's just keep moving forward with other aspects, and you can finish that up at the end. But we need to keep moving, because and that was just one light fixture. So if it's something where they're going on and on over everything, then that's when you need to sit down and, again, just have a conversation. Just say, every time we change our mind, that changes the scope of work, that increases the hour, that increases the service cost for design services. Now we've got the trades involved. Now they've got to make changes. Everything has a knock-on effect. So once people understand that, and they just need to know that once they've placed an order, they've placed an order. That's it. The order's been placed. Again, I had clients who were questioning. We placed an order. This is probably 5 years ago, and a beautiful design for a custom living room that we did. And I got an email back a couple after we presented, and they given me the 100% deposit. And then she starts panicking a little, and she messaged me, emailed me going, I'm really not sure about the drapery. Maybe it wasn't quite the right colors that I wanted. And, the fabric on the sofa, maybe it's a little dark. I'm not sure. What can we do? And I messaged her back saying, come on, No, I messaged back saying, you've hired me for a reason and you loved all of the suggestions. I would not have selected that drapery if I did not think it was going to work with the overall color scheme. I would not have suggested that fabric for the sofa if I did not think that it was perfect for everything else that we have going on in the space. So I just really had to reassure her, but just remind her that the orders have been placed. There really was no going back at this point. And you know what? And it was so nice because when she ended up, when we did the big reveal, I wasn't able to be there to see her at the reveal. She'd come in the evening and we had done the room in the day. And she emailed me and she was like, and you could go find it on House, this review, because she had emailed me basically to say, I was nervous about this fabric, but it turned out beautifully. I wasn't sure about the sofa, but we all love it, and when she said to me afterwards, what can I do in terms of like, can I write a review for you? I was like, all you really need to do, honestly, is copy and paste that email that you sent to me of where you were not sure. And then when it all came together, you were just blown away. So clients can change their mind, but you just have to make sure that you have your processes in place to figure out how you're going to handle that. But then just know that, if they're going to listen to their neighbor, Sally, or they're going to listen to their aunt, Diane, you're the professional. That's why they have hired you. And again, that's why when you price low, right, and and you may even question yourself, then people may also be questioning you. So just bear that in mind. It's a whole mindset thing. Okay. Number 3 is finding content for social media. How do you find content? Oh my goodness. We hear this come up a lot. People get overwhelmed. What do I post about? What is interesting? So the first thing I would say to you is look at your FAQs. What are the frequently asked questions that people are asking you? Clients are asking you when they're in your home, when they have you on a discovery call. That's where you start with your content, because you want to be able to reuse that content. And those kind of frequently asked questions, you can have links to whether it's a YouTube video or a blog or an IGTV video, and you can be linking that to people after you have a call with them on the phone. You can say, I'm going to send you a link to a few different places where you can see some of these frequently asked questions and how I handle them. So that's your first stop for social media content. Answering questions that people are asking you regularly. Okay. And the other place to find content for social media is, my goodness, what is it that you want to focus on, right? I say my goodness because there's just, I just look in behind me. I could film 100 videos or blogs just based on probably 4 fabric books, a few paint colors, and some tile, So I would say that, when you're looking for content for social media, also, what is it that you want to focus on? You won't see me really posting a lot about 3D designs right now because I really want to come away from offering the 3D designs. So I'm posting more about the paint colors and consultations and custom rooms and how we put this together, the thought process behind it, because I want people to hire me either for a color consult, a design 2-hour consultation right now, or I really want to go forward with, a full custom project, or the designer on call, designer for a day. So, you know what I mean? So don't talk about something that you don't want to do. Make sure that you're talking about something that you know that you love, that you can help the client with, that you're passionate about, because that's also going to come through in your post when you're doing your social media posts. The other thing that you can do, like I said, when you're out and about, you are at an event or you're at your showroom, a local design showroom, pull some fabrics, take some photos of those fabrics, say to people, which one do you like better, A or B? Show the tiles that you're looking at, like, oh, wow, here's some encaustic tiles and here's some classic, 12 by 12 simple white tiles, which one would you prefer, and ask people, people love that. I do my Thursdays, this or that, every Thursday. They get the most engagement on both Instagram and on Facebook. Honestly, for something like this, I just, if you're really not sure, like, look at what other people are doing. Take a look on my Instagram feed, see what I'm posting. What is she getting engagement on? The only thing I will say, though, don't be caught up in the engagement that you see people getting, because some of my posts that get the most profile links and back to my website have no comments. So I have one on my Instagram. It's called Behind the Design, and it's basically I'm just talking about 3 elements of a design project, but I'm linking people back to a blog, and that has no comments, but it's got like 40 people that went back to my website to click on it. There's been a couple others. I can't think of them right off the top of my head, but don't get discouraged if you're not necessarily getting the comments. But if you're giving a call to action and people are taking action, that's gravy. That's really what you want. So if you need some more help with finding content for social media, I am going to be releasing some ideas soon. I'm going to have an online product, basically sharing a ton of ideas for social media, things that have worked for me. Obviously, I'm not going to share stuff that hasn't worked because there's no point in doing that. So anyway, keep your eye out for that at CLAIRE-ity.com. Number 4. Oh, this one just hit a sore spot with me recently. And I did a whole thing on it on Instagram. It's Instagram pods. People asking like, hey, what about someone was saying, I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of traction on Instagram. I'm thinking about doing, what can I do? I don't think they were aware of pods. That's right. They weren't aware of pods. And someone had commented to say, oh, have you ever thought of doing an Instagram pod? Now, if you're not aware of pods, this is what it is. So you've got Instagram pods or blog pods, and basically, you get a group of other designers, a group of people. Maybe there's 10 of you, maybe there's 5, maybe there's 20. And you agree that you have terms where you are going to comment on everyone's post. You're going to comment on everyone's blog post, or you're going to do that and pin one of the pins in their blog post to Pinterest, or you're going to comment on all of their Instagram posts, sort of thing. I'm just not a fan of this. One, I'll tell you what it's actually made me do is now I look at other designers, and when I see that they have like 45, 50 comments, I think, I wonder if they're in a pod. Like, I wonder if those are real. And I can't be bothered to go look at all of them because I don't really have time. The other thing is that while you're doing that and while you're spending your time commenting on other designers, stuff that maybe you don't even really love, but you're like, oh, well, I'm kind of in this pod and I don't love this design, but I have to say I love it. You could actually just be creating more content that your viewers are going to resonate with, more answers to FAQs, more things that you're passionate about, examples and experiences that you can share with people, So I just get a little bit frustrated with the pods because I think it's great that you want to support and have a community and support each other. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I don't want to feel obliged to comment on somebody's post. I want to do it because I see it and I go, oh, wow, like that is beautiful. Like, I think this is amazing. I'm going to comment on this. And the same thing is that when I get something, because I have been in a pod before, and when I've gotten something in the past and I see these comments come through, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, it's so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, because I have to comment, so, and it's really a lot of times, even I find that those people who are commenting as part of the pods, it's just like, great transformation, love this new look. It's not really thoughtful, where I love when someone sits down and goes, oh my God, I've been listening to your vlogs, and I've been watching, I just painted my home, and it was because of you that I, nearly made a huge mistake, but I decided to go with sea salt instead of blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh, wow, that's great, Marie. I'm so excited. Like, thanks for the feedback. Like, that's really nice. It makes me warm and fuzzy. When someone has to comment, I don't know, you can tell. I'm getting a little wound up by this. Okay. But yeah, so I really recommend that instead of worrying about trying to build and trying to get all these likes and trying to get all these people to follow you and trying to figure out strategies of, getting other people to comment on your stuff and you comment on other people's stuff, just share great quality content and be consistent with it. It's really as easy as that, really. I mean, I don't really know what else I can say. So not a fan of the pods. I think you could be spending your time much more wisely. And like I said, do you really want to be commenting on something when you're looking, because I've seen it. I've been in things before where, I'm commenting on other people's blogs and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like that design, but I have to comment something nice, so, and I'm not being mean to say I don't like someone's design. You don't like everyone's design. We don't have to love everyone's design, but when you have to comment and say something really nice, it just feels so fake, so think about that, right? Don't worry about growing fast and figuring out, how to crack this or that. Just keep putting out content, put out quality content, and be patient, right? Number 5, the most important takeaway that I had since COVID. So this is, obviously, depending on when this is going to air, this, COVID obviously happened in spring of 2020, hit us all. I'm just going to say that really the biggest takeaway for me was having alternate revenue streams. I mean, I feel bad for anyone, like local restaurants, the businesses that have been suffering and that have closed, that, weren't able to keep going because they rely on patrons face to face, which a lot of businesses obviously do, as did interior designers. A lot of designers do. Now, I know a lot of designers also went to e-design. I mean, e-design just does not interest me personally. I'm not interested in doing e-design. And I kind of wonder how many people hopped on the e-design just because they felt like they were almost had to. But do you really love it? Maybe you do. And I know that some people that do. But for me, it's having different revenue streams. So it really, really helped because I get money in from YouTube. I get money in from my online product sales, which I have not just for coaching, but also now I have my essential color guides and my collections. So those are for my DIYers and even for designers, coming to my site. I've got affiliates that I work with Maria Killam. Her and I have affiliates between us for links to each other's products. Being a brand ambassador, so when everything was like, and everyone was panicking, and I get it, it's been a really weird time, but I was actually like able to get really organized, create some more ideas for online products, make sure that I was up to date on my social media, get some branding stuff that I had not yet done, been able to do, but I was still making that passive income. And I really hesitate to use the word passive because you see how hard I work. You see how hard anyone works who makes this passive income. But really having those alternate revenue streams have been ridiculous, like ridiculously awesome. And my goal over time, and you may have heard me say this, but literally in 10 years, my goal is to, I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto. It's cold 6 months of the year. I don't love the cold. Mind you, saying that today, it's like super duper hot, but, I really don't. So my goal is to be in Portugal or in the Barbados or in Brazil, somewhere. I want to be for 6 months living somewhere hot, but I still want to be able to run my business. Run the business is going to be progressively going more and more online. So just something to think about. Online is not going away. My husband works for UPS. They had 32 trailers currently right now. So, this is being recorded back in end of May. They're busier than Christmas because everyone has obviously moved to online. Everyone's buying everything online. So online is not going away. This whole COVID thing maybe just pushed people, more on definitely more online. I mean, my stats for social media have gone, through the roof without really posting any extra. But having those alternate revenue streams, and I've got something that I can help you guys with. I'm looking at doing, I always hate saying, because it could be out by now by the time this podcast airs. But anyway, there's going to be something that I'm going to help you with. I'm going to be sharing lots of great information and really detailed information on, numbers and how many people come to my site and what's yielded me the most traffic and how do you build your email list and what products do you know should you sell? How do you promote those products? So I've got all that information based on my own knowledge and my own experiences. So look out for that. But yes, that is definitely something that I can't complain about having set that up. It does take time. It's patience. Everything is patience. All right, my friends, that is the top 5 from my interior design business strategies group. That's what got designers talking this month. And over to you. If you guys want to comment, if you have anything else to add to that, remember to stay connected with me on Instagram and at Claire Jefford. I've already mentioned my Facebook group. And remember that I'm here to help you. I am a business coach. I can help you one-on-one. I can help you with some of my fabulous online products that people have been raving about and helping in their business to get them organized. I'm so passionate about that, and I just love helping others and then seeing them reap the rewards and then message me. So just make sure that you check that out. That's clairejefford.com/shop. And I will see you next time. Cheers.